episode 2 of the Mental Breakdown, where we interview different individuals in high performing environments about topics related to performance psychology. So we'll go dive into a little bit about what they do and how they do it, so that maybe you can gather some information to apply what they do in your own lives to become a high performing individual. So today I'm joined by a very special guest, Bella Mauricio. She was actually one of the first clients that I worked with once I got my master's degree in sports psychology. So she's currently a junior guard for the Browns University women's basketball team. So we're going to talk a little bit about, not just necessarily the work that we've done together, but how that's translated to the college level, but then also what it's like being a D1 athlete. And not just being a D1 athlete, but being a D1 athlete at an Ivy League school. So how she's able to balance both the academics and the athletic and just everyday life. So sit back, stay tuned. I hope you enjoy. What up, homie?
I blurred the background because I got my bed in there. And
Oh, yeah. See, I thought about doing that, but it's like, because I'm just sitting here on my couch.
yeah,
But
you have a solid wall. It's just that I made it, I promise. It's just
yeah, no, that's true. You just missed it. So Kobe's obviously right here next to me, but his head was like
he's so cute.
leading up towards the corner. I was like, you would do this like 2 seconds before she's about to hop on this thing.
He wants to be in it.
He does. And I think the first interview I did, it was the same thing. Like towards the end, he was right next to me, like, come on, dude, it's time to go.
Yeah,
I was like, all right. So hopefully, like, different time of day, he's going to be a little more chill this time.
he's adorable.
Yeah. Well, appreciate you doing this. I think when I had this idea that I wanted to start like interviewing people, like you were probably the first person that came up. Uh,
Oh,
Obviously, yeah, heartfelt message already 2 minutes in. Just because like, yeah, you were one of the first people I started working with. Obviously we've kept in touch for what, almost like 7 years now, you know,
yeah.
being able to watch you in high school, being able to watch you on TV, which is dope as hell. Uh, every time I want to cancel my ESPN Plus membership because I want to save $11 a month, I'm like, well, then I can't watch Bella play, so I can't do that. Uh,
Oh,
so
you
I'm
should just
sending
share
the
with my parents.
uh, uh, do they have it? I gotta imagine they have it. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll reach out to your dad. Uh,
Okay,
but no, it's all good. Well worth the money for sure. What's new? How's everything going?
good. We played last night at Dartmouth. Got our first Ivy win.
I was gonna say that you just started a league, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, hell yeah.
Yesterday, 1 p.m., like a 27-point win. So that was pretty nice.
You guys are kind of rolling right now.
We are, it's so nice. Coming from
Yeah.
like being a losing team, now we're winning. It's really nice.
So it's definitely something I'm gonna ask you about uh in a little bit for sure. But I also thought it was cool that like you guys are on a West Coast swing over the break, and you've been
Yeah.
from the West Coast, so I gotta imagine that was nice.
Yeah, the San Francisco game was so fun. I had like 45 people there.
They said
My
that
mom
on the
made sure the stands
broadcast.
were filled. Yeah.
They said that on the broadcast, like Bella Mauricio, she's got 40 family friends. I was like, 40, dude? I don't even
Yeah.
know 40 people, man. That's crazy.
It was so sweet because I think the announcer for the arena, he saw me play in high school, I think, because I was
Oh,
checking
really?
back the game and like mid third quarter, he's like, "Hey, you were a Don in high school." He's like, "I remember
Oh,
from this
dang.
area." It was so sweet. And
That's
he
tight.
he announced me last in the starting lineups too, so I got like the like hometown like applause.
Yeah.
So that was really sweet. It was nice.
Hell yeah. I bet everyone's going crazy.
Yeah, it was really nice.
That's tight. Were your parents able to make it to the San Diego game?
Yeah, they flew down, and then my dad's extended family is from San Diego, so they all
Okay.
came to the game too.
Damn, look at that. Just back to back, just
I
huge
know.
support section.
It
That's
was
tight.
nice.
What was it like playing in front of them?
I mean, I've never like they haven't seen me play in person since high school. So it was a little bit stressful, but I had 2 good games. So I was like, okay,
There you go.
it was nice.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the San Diego game, but I saw part of the USF game. Who did you guys play before San Diego?
Um, Dang, before San Diego. Because we had the break. I think it was
What game did you hit four threes in like the first quarter?
that was San Diego.
Oh, maybe I did see San Diego then.
It was back to back to back to back.
Yeah, because I remember like, obviously we talk about, shooter's mentality and
Uh-huh.
I send you those Steph and Clay memes all the time, which I guess I got to put
Uh,
up on social media now that I just dropped that. Uh, just keep, like, cause like sometimes I'll check the box score and it's like 1 for 8.
yeah,
Next time I'll check it, it's like 5 for 7.
yeah,
So it's like just the mentality of like keeping shooting. So like when I saw you doing that, I was like, shit, dude, she's fucking
yeah.
feeling it, man. It was
It's
tight.
it's been due. I mean, I didn't have a good first half of the season shooting, but I think like the past 5 to 7 games, it's been kind of back where I expected for myself. So that's been real nice.
Hell yeah, love that. I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. But so how I like to start these, and since it's number two, it's like I'm trying to make it a consistent thing. But uh, I think we've talked about it before, but this idea of like just gratitude and practicing gratitude and thinking about things you appreciate and what you're grateful for. So, what is something that you are grateful for?
All right, I got three. We kind of touched on it,
Oh,
but my family coming to the San Francisco and San Diego games, love them. Biggest
gotta
support.
imagine that was going to come up. Yeah.
Exactly. Two, I just feel like I'm like living the dream. I mean,
Yeah.
I dreamed about playing Division 1 basketball since I was like 3 years old. I would write about it in my journals all the time. I had like a whole master plan. And I'm here, so I'm just grateful for that. And three, I thought of this one this morning. I opened the windows and we're having the first snow of the season. So
Oh,
it's just
dang.
so pretty out there.
Uh, you're not used to snow, obviously, being in California,
Mhm.
so what does I'm gonna start from the top. Like, what does family mean to you? Like, why are you grateful for family?
Um, I just feel like I have their like unconditional support, especially my mom. She's just like every morning we have this game day routine, every game day of my whole entire basketball career from high school, from AAU in like third grade to now. Every morning we would wake up on game day and like flex at each other and just scream like game day and get so hyped. And she keeps that up. Like every morning on game days, I'll get like memes, just like
That's
dunking
hilarious.
videos, and she'll just be texting me like it's game day, and it's just unconditional support from her, and I love that.
Tell me she flexed in front of you on the San Diego and USF games.
Yeah, she
I
did.
love that, dude. Love Mama. That's hilarious. Okay, hell yeah. It's I mean, oh, the next thing was like, yeah, playing Division 1 basketball. Yeah, I know you've had this dream for a while, right? So like, what does it mean to you that you're actually fulfilling it right now?
I think I'm gonna touch on this maybe later, but I think my mom always tells me like I've always just kind of bet on myself. And like, I'm 5'4". I'm not really supposed to be here, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. So like the fact that I am here and the fact that like my hard work has gotten me here and the people in my corner have helped me get here, it just means a lot.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've done this before, but like I always play this game watching, like, damn, what if she was like 6 feet tall, dude? Like, you know, what if she was like 5'8", 5'9"? What would
I
happen?
feel like I wouldn't have like the chip on my shoulder that I do.
Sure. That's an
Like I'm
interesting
kind of
perspective on that too, right? Because it's like, yeah, maybe like you take your foot off the gas a little bit.
exactly. Yeah, like I feel like I wouldn't have had as many people kind of doubting me, and I wouldn't be playing like I don't know, as feisty as I do now, I guess.
Hell yeah. No, I like that because it's like just kind of accepting where you're at and what your strengths, limitations are, and just not letting that hold you back. And just like it, let's go after it.
Exactly. You
Hell
know,
yeah.
I thought about moving my roster height down from 5'4" to 5'3" this year because I was like,
Stop it.
there's another 5'4" girl, but there's no 5'3" girls.
Do you guys have another 5'4" rule or just like in the conference?
We did last year for
Okay.
Columbia,
Okay.
so
That's hilarious.
I wanted it to
Putting
be different.
5'3". Yeah, you hear people adding inches but never taking away. That's funny.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
technically, I'm 5'2 3/4" without the shoes and the bun, so
oh, you add the bun into your height? Man, I had no idea. And
don't tell everybody.
I'll cut that out. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so yeah, like I said earlier, like I said in the intro, like yeah, we've been working together since what 20? I graduated in 2017, so like 2017, 2018 ish.
Yeah.
Um, so what was it like starting mental skills training? Because I don't think you had really done much up to that point. I don't even remember why at this point we started. I just remember your dad reaching out. We started talking. But take me through that process. Like, what was it like starting mental skills training? Because obviously you had done the physical stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what was it like adding this new arsenal to your training regimen?
Yeah, I mean, you hear everybody talk about like having a shooter's mentality or having a next play mentality, but you don't actually practice that. And I feel like your coaches will always tell you, like, have a good attitude, like, just keep being positive. But it's like, okay, how do I actually practice this when things are going not super well? And I think we actually started because I was in a little shooting slump, as I
Hmm.
sometimes get in, I think as everybody kind of gets in. And I think us talking about it for the first time, like, really kinda changed my perspective and, like, focusing on breath work and, like, actually practicing how to work through these things, I feel like was just, like, extremely beneficial as I got into college.
Uh, out of listening to that, so I remember when I came out to Amador to like get shots up with you one day as like a way to train. Do you remember I had you shoot freeze with your eyes closed,
I
and then I had you
remember.
shoot threes left-handed
Yeah,
as the way to develop that just kind of like YOLO mentality sort of thing,
yeah.
or trusting yourself. But yeah, it means like I think you bring up a good point, and that's not to the downfall of coaches, but I mean, people say things all the time like, "Hey, I need you to hustle, I need you to focus, I need you to be mentally tough." No one really knows what that means, right? It's like, "Hey, focus on the next shot." It's like, well, yeah, duh, but like, what do I do? You know? So what did you specifically start doing? Because yeah, it sounded like the conversation just kind of like opened your eyes. Like, what did you start doing? What have you done now to kind of help make you move your attention to that next shot mentality?
I think the biggest thing you taught me was first journaling.
Mm,
Um, Journaling and just kinda, like, recognizing the thoughts that I was having or, like, maybe the doubts that I was having so that I could at least, like, know where my feelings were coming from. And then I think second, we talked about breath work a lot and just like refocusing, regrounding, and like staying present in the moment has really, really helped me. Like I
mm.
still do that before games during the national anthem. I do my 4 count breathing. I just like focus and check in with all my body parts just to like feel good before the game.
So now tell me, like, because that's awesome there. I love that. Shout out to anybody who's like, or not a shout out, PSA for who's watching this. Like, this isn't me trying to gas myself up. Uh, I already know some people are like, hmm, this is a plant. No, not a plant. Uh, what has like, I guess, what's been like the biggest impact that has had on just like your, not just like playing, but like your life, like having that sense of just being able to ground yourself and like acknowledge what you're feeling, noticing what you're feeling, but then now being able to still like, go about your day. So like what sort of impact has it had on you just like overall, you think?
Um, I guess with this, I think about sometimes when we get in this like heightened state where it's like, okay, I'm stressed about not hitting my shots and all that, like it's easy to just get caught up in your thoughts. And I feel like when I do my breathing, it's just like, okay, like I'm not thinking anymore. Like I'm just thinking about focusing on my breath and all that. So it just kind of keeps me grounded. And I feel like not just in basketball, like even outside of that, if I'm stressed about school or something, like it's just like, okay, I'm gonna do my breath work, I'm gonna refocus and, you know, it helps with my stress.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in
Exactly.
the narrative you tell yourself, right? Um, it's just how quickly can you get out of it, or how quickly can you shift your attention now to like what's actually happening. You know,
Exactly.
Even me, like I still experience those moments where it's like a little bit of doubt, a little bit of maybe I'm beating myself up too much comes into play, but then it's like, oh wait, no, like shit happened, nothing I can do about it now. Focus
Exactly.
on what the next thing is. And I think like one thing I've told you, it's like that Dion Waiters quote is like, I'd rather go over 100 than over 10 because at over 10 and then like you lost confidence in yourself. It's how I live my life, like I'm gonna keep missing. That's fine.
Exactly.
I said that to my army basketball coach, and he was like, "Oh, you better stop shooting." I was like, "He's like, you ain't going over 100, dude. Trust me." I was like, "All right,
I've
thanks."
seen you shoot. I believe
Yeah,
that.
yeah, appreciate it, man. Okay, so then how, like, what sort of, obviously, like, now that you're at the D1 level, right? Like, we're not talking every day, we still keep in touch, but like, what are you doing now to kind of stay on top of those things, like the mental side of your,
It's funny you say that because I was just talking with my teammate last night about, she's coming back from injury,
mm,
and she's kind of stressed because she missed like the second half of her freshman year. So she's kind of stressed about coming back in as a sophomore now and
yeah,
like plays and readjusting to everything. And we were just talking about like things that we can do to like, I don't know, take like preventative steps in our mental health as she comes back. And I was telling her how every morning I wake up and I start with some like breath work and affirmations before I do my stretching routine. And then we talked about just like journaling at night and just like refocusing on like I guess why she is playing. And I think that's something
Hmm.
that's really important that we talked about, like finding the joy in this journey because college basketball is a grind. It's like it's hard work and it's work that you necessarily like you don't really want to be doing. It's physically and mentally demanding. So
Yeah.
just talking about like why she's here and why she continues to keep playing and working through adversity.
Look at you out there just like teaching the good words to everybody else now. You know?
She's already got
Uh
it. She's so good at that stuff. We do it with each other.
yeah, that's good. But I think it's cool. It's like because I know you were team captain growing up, and I think you identify as like a leader, and there are a lot of different ways to show leadership than going out there and scoring 40 points a game, So just finding ways to like get your teammates along the line, like, hey, like let's just start doing this, kind of start building that practice, because yeah, coming back from injury. Have you ever been injured like that before?
I last year I had my concussion.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's right.
I've never been out for like a full season due to injury. I've just had
Yeah,
little ones put me out for like a week or two.
yeah, but still, it's a little bit of a grind coming back from, you know,
Definitely.
yeah.
It's ACL for her. So she's
Oof.
been out for a while, but she's working
Gee,
so hard.
gee. Um, so speaking of being a D1 athlete, um, this transition from going from high school to college, I'm sure brought a lot of different challenges. One of those, so I mean, we're not going to touch on this, but like getting recruited during a pandemic, I'm sure that was a challenge in of itself, right? But then now it's like, okay, now you go from high school to college. Now I got to choose a college that I want to go to, right? Because you were recruited by a couple of different schools. So like, what was that process like in terms of deciding where to go?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I had a pretty unique recruiting process. I wasn't highly recruited at all. And in fact, I was very, very late in the recruiting process. And obviously, with COVID, everything died down even more. So I had no offers about halfway into my senior year or start of my senior year. So I was stressed. I was like, I'm not going to live out my dream. I'm not going to achieve everything I wanted in my journals. I was stressed. But my mom always tells me that, like, I never gave up on myself. It was, I'm going to play Division I basketball, and I don't care how I get there, I'm going to get there.
Yeah,
Uh, we were even thinking about JUCO. We were thinking about like prep schools in case, this didn't work out.
yeah,
But I ended up just like emailing every single Division I school in the country with like an SAT above like 1200, something like that, like a good academic, high level basketball school.
yeah,
And I ended up hearing back from Brown. That was it. And then I had some contact with NYU. And I love NYU and I really thought I was going there. And then I ended up choosing Brown because I was like, I want to play Division I basketball. So it
yeah. It
was
was like this was
unique,
your
but
opportunity to fulfill out your dream, right?
exactly. Yeah. Coach Mo and I had one conversation. She never even got to see me play live. So I just feel extremely grateful that I ended up here. It was a
Yeah,
crazy process.
yeah. So it sounded like had to do a lot of like I don't want to say a lot of selling, but you had to do a lot of the grunt work to like make that dream come true.
Exactly. You have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, like short theme in the 10 minutes we've been on here is like just betting on yourself. So it's like I know this is something I could do, so I'm gonna go and try to make it happen by we'll start with just emailing hello people and see
Yeah,
what happens. You know.
exactly.
Um. So I think the other thing that I noticed from you is like uh, going from playing high school, you had the ball in your hand 98% of the time, right? Like uh, being responsible to like, hey, we need you to score 30, you know,
Yeah.
to now being a Brown, that's not the case, right? Like you don't have the ball in your hands all the time. They don't need you to score 30, right? Because like now you're playing you in basketball, right? Like there are other people who do that. So what has it been like with that sort of role shift?
Yeah. I think freshman year, I feel like this experience is like my sophomore and junior year. I think
Hmm.
freshman year before we got a ton of talent, that was the case. It felt just like high school. And I was like, oh, okay, this is smooth. If this is college, like this is gonna be cool. I have the ball in my hands all the time. But sophomore and junior year, we started to get really good talent. And now obviously we're so much better. Our records nearly flipped. And
Yeah,
I wouldn't I wouldn't want it any other way though. Like I
Yeah.
prefer winning over, having the ball in my hands. And I've just kind of accepted my role of being a 3-and-D player.
Hmm.
And I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. And that's how the team's going to win. I don't need the ball in my hands all the time.
Was that a hard shift though? Because like, yeah, I know winning matters, but like, yeah, going from like it's a completely different. I don't want to say completely different style of play, but from having the ball in your hands all the time to like making the most of the opportunities where you get the ball, which you seem to do. But like, I feel like it's not easy for a lot of people to make that mindset shift.
Definitely, but I think the nice thing about our starting five right now is I think we all kind of we recognize that each of us have our roles and we're all going to be great in our respective roles. And like we all know that if we're not performing one day, we have each other to pick each
Hmm.
other up. Like the other four people are going to step up, which is really nice because it like takes the pressure off of you sometimes when you're the only scorer. If you're not having a great day, like the team could be in trouble. But it's nice that all five of us this year kind of we have our respective roles and we can pick up for each other.
I was gonna say, so yeah, when you were in high school, if you had an off night, it was like, okay, like we're losing by 30, or whatever the case was. So what do you think that's done for you now, where it's like if you have an off night, it's like it's probably going to be fine.
I feel like it's helped my like mental approach to the game or even my shooter's mentality so much just because it's like I mean I have less to lose. Like it's not the game on the line necessarily. Like something that I'm trying to work on within myself is like not catastrophizing about like a situation. Like if I go 0 for 8, it's not the end of the world anymore. It's like the whole team's gonna have my back. They're gonna just expect me to work my ass off on defense. Excuse my language.
I mean,
Um,
I've scored twice, so it's fine.
um, I lost my train of thought. Anyways,
Working your ass off, going over 8 is going to be fine. Like,
exactly. Exactly. Like it takes the pressure off. And I really like that about this year.
yeah. So yeah, in terms of like not catastrophizing, right? Because it's so easy, and I think that's something we talked about uh, as probably I think with you as a freshman is like
Hmm.
one bad thing happens, it's like, oh shit, like they probably don't trust me now. Because
Exactly.
whereas now it seems like that's not the case. Where it's like, hey, yeah,
Ex-
I missed whatever. Like I know it'll be fine in the end.
yeah. I think it's so interesting that sometimes like as players, we tend to look at the negative things we do and make assumptions about ourselves based on that. But it's like, what about all the times when you do hit your shots or like when you do make good plays? How come you're not like getting your confidence and building your high off of that when like you let one bad play tear you down so easily?
Yeah, if you miss that one shot and you get the ball next time and you're still thinking about the last one you missed, like, hey, I hope I don't do that again. Well, like, it's not going to help you in that new scenario, right? Like, it's only going
Exactly.
to make it worse. It's only going to add pressure that doesn't need to be there, you
Exactly.
know? And I think it's so easy for us to focus on those negative things, right? Because they're out there. There's a lot more of it.
Hmm.
What are you shooting from the three right now? Do you know?
I think beginning of the year, like the first 7 games, first 5 games, it was like 20%. It was
Yeah.
not good. But I think the past 5 to 7, it's been almost 40, I think high 30s. And like the past 3 games, it's been like 50%. So we're moving up.
Yeah, and I think even looking at that, right, if you focus on the 20%, like, man, I'm only hitting 20% of my shots, like this isn't going well. Like, do I even bother shooting any more threes? That could completely take you out of your element, right? But like if you keep shooting, it's like, hey, yeah, I missed the last one, but doesn't mean the next one's gonna miss. And like you just see how like that trajectory now, it's like you're back to shooting what you're capable of.
Exactly.
I think it's also the life of a shooter, right? Like you're gonna have those ebbs and flows,
I
you
think
know?
about Clay Thompson a lot. I feel like he's been getting such a like bad like backlash from the fans, but I'm like, he's just gonna
Man,
keep shooting.
everyone needs to chill, bro. Like he'll be
Yeah.
fine. Uh that's another story. We'll talk about Warriors another day, but it's like, what's going on, man? What are we doing here? As long as Steph's doing his thing, it's fine. I like watching him, so that's good.
Steph is gonna stuff. He's so good.
Yeah, Steph's gonna Steph. Okay, yeah, so like taking on a little different of a role, yeah, from being ball dominant to like not as much, but making use of the opportunities you get, which like you're still getting a lot of opportunities, right? And I think that's another thing that a lot of players don't understand is that I need to have the ball in my hands to make an impact. It's like, no, you don't. Like the ball will come back to you, you know, like basketball knows. Basketball
Exactly.
knows.
Especially as you get to college basketball, like everybody's high IQ enough, good enough to make those
Yeah.
passes.
Yeah. So another challenger for I'm sure you faced going from high school to college, and you kind of talked about it earlier, but like winning and losing. Not that you guys were super dominant in high school, right? But like, your first 2 years at Brown, significantly under 500, right?
Hmm.
Which, yeah, like what were you guys in high school like your last 2 years? Like you're at least 500, right? Like you're still making NCS.
Yeah, we were still like barely above 500.
Yeah. But going from that to now being almost last place in conference back to back years, losing by double digit points, even sometimes like being so close and then it just like falls apart at the end. To now
Hmm.
you guys are what, 11-3, 10-3, something like that?
10-4.
10-4.
10-4.
So what's that roller coaster been like going from bottom of the barrel to now it's like things are starting to look up.
Yeah. I mean, it was difficult at first. At first I was like, dang, did I choose the right place? Like, I want to win. Like, obviously it's
Yeah,
tough. Having a winner's mentality, even playing like I played for a really good AAU team. So I was used to winning. I think we
that's
went like
right.
I think 4-12, like one of over like 3 years. So
Yeah.
I was like, what am I doing here? But I think Coach Mo has been awesome in that she was just like, this is a process. Like it was her first year when it was my first year. So I was her first recruiting
Hmm.
class. And kind of the narrative that we were all given was like, this is going to be a building process. And she stuck true to her words. We've gotten great recruits come in. We've just all kind of shifted our perspective. And it's like, at first it was, okay, let's get one win. And then it was like, okay, let's get 4 wins in the Ivy League. And now this year it's like, okay, we're going to be top four. And it's
Yeah.
just like expectations have shifted. So that's been really amazing.
What was it like hearing that from like as a player? What was it like hearing that from a coach? Like, hey, this is going to be a building process. Like, what
Yeah.
was it
I
like hearing
mean,
that, especially coming from a winning environment?
yeah. I mean, it was tough, but also like that's what I signed up for.
Hmm.
I like the tough. I've never chosen the easy path, and I feel like I like the tough path, and I'm like taking pride in the fact that we're kind of I helped build this program, and like my
Yeah.
class is helping to build the future of Brown basketball.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. And he decides to make his appearance now. Um, Hearing you say that taking the easy path or not taking the easy route, I think that kind of goes into connecting dots here, like your decision between Brown and NYU.
Hmm.
And I don't think you said this out loud during that time, but like I think for you, NYU would have been like the easy route,
Yeah.
right?
I
Like,
mean, they were an established, really good Division III program. I felt like I could get good playing time with them. Um, it kind of felt like my high school decision all over again. In high
hmm.
school, I was given the opportunity between going to like a really good, like O'Dowd private
Oh,
school and Amador, which is like public school and not as much money in basketball.
yeah,
Girls were kind of choosing between soccer and basketball. Not that it wasn't a good school for that, but
yeah,
it wasn't a priority area. And I ended up choosing Amador. So I kind of really had to like again push myself and bet on
yeah,
myself and create my own path out of that. So I was like, okay, in this decision between NYU and Brown, like I could take the easy path again, or I can challenge myself and see if I can play Division I basketball. And I'm
yeah.
glad I chose this route.
Heck yeah. Yeah, it seems like you're having fun. Not that you didn't have fun like the first 2 years, but it seems like the hell was that? A lot of
Yeah,
noise outside. Uh, Downside of doing this in an apartment, just random noises outside. Yeah, not that you weren't having fun the first 2 years, but like this year seems a little different, obviously.
it's fun seeing the results of your hard work. Like this has been
Yeah,
2 years in the making. So
yeah,
hopefully we keep up the winning.
yeah. That reminds me of that meme of the dude who's like pickaxing in the dirt, and then he stops before the goal and turns around. It's like sometimes you got to. Sometimes it's not pretty. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbow. You just got to keep going, and eventually, like that hard work is going to pay off. Like it's a phrase that I think gets overused. Hard work pays off, but like if you actually like stick through the grind, like
It's so
something good's
true.
going to come from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many more games do you have left this season?
So we have 13 games left, all Ivy League. And then if we qualify for playoffs. Top four teams in our league do. And
Oh,
we'd
that's
have
right. Okay.
one or
Top
two
four
more.
make okay.
Yeah. And then if you win the tournament there, then you go to NCAAs.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So like what's the mindset? What's the approach like from now to the rest of the season?
We
Now that you
are
started
rolling
Ivy League
right
off with
now.
a win, you know?
We're rolling. We're just gonna use this momentum and carry it through the rest of it. And we're gonna be top four and we are gonna make the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
That's the mindset this year. No
Hell
excuse.
yeah. Hell yeah. Dude, I love watching it. So I mean, the longer you guys play, just more excitement I get, you know. So
Thank you.
um so in terms of like, mental skills training, like not necessarily for you, but what do you think is the biggest mental challenge that college athletes face?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people realize necessarily like how much time we spend playing basketball. Like obviously
Mm,
we're here as Division 1 athletes, but we spend literally 90% of our life playing basketball. And even at like an Ivy League institution, like it's still 90%. And it's like
yeah.
10% for your laundry, your schoolwork, everything else in your life. Like that one off day feels like your one chance to like get everything else in your life
Yeah.
done. So I feel like the biggest challenge I often see myself or my teammates face is like being able to separate our self-worth and like our mental health from our basketball performance.
Mm,
We spend so much of our life like doing this. If it's not going well, it's so easy for us to be like, okay, like I'm failing in life right now.
yeah.
When really it's just like, hold on, there's so much more to life right now. Like being able to separate that.
It's just one thing,
Exactly.
just one aspect of my life that isn't going on right now. It doesn't mean everything is. But if
Exactly.
I'm sure it feels that way since like, yeah, the majority of your time is spent hooping, you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah.
Uh what's it like balancing that student athlete life? Because yeah, if you're spending 90% of your time playing basketball, it makes sense to you, an athlete, right? But like you're also at an Ivy League school,
Hmm.
so like academics are not just like, hey, do this assignment. Like there's a high academic standards. Like how do you balance that?
It's definitely tough. I've gotten really good at using my Google Calendar and literally planning every little bit of my life into there. It's kind of crazy. It's color coordinated, but you have to be good at it or else
Yeah.
you're successful here.
Yeah. So biggest challenge is like one, not tying in your self-worth into everything. Right. So
Mhm,
like, yeah, one thing goes bad doesn't mean everything's gonna go bad. But then also like being able to plan and stay organized.
mhm.
Because I gotta imagine like with that kind of stuff, if you lose any sort of organization, like
It's
it's
out
easy
the
to fall
window.
behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, you future Division 1 hoopers who are watching this, be prepared. Get a Google Calendar, color code, good to go. Um, so outside of that, so since the time's counting down here, what is like a word of advice you would have for like future hoopers who are going through the grind of like getting recruited, wanting to play Division 1 basketball, or just like basketball at the next level? Like what would be like a word of advice you would give them to help them in their journey?
Yeah. Something that stuck with me, one of my AAU coaches in high school told me this. College teams will always have room for somebody who works really hard and is like a good character kid.
Hmm.
Like, there's nothing better than a teammate who's going to add to your locker room and add to your team culture and get the rest of your team in the gym working out with them. Like, there's always room for that type of kid. So, like, I know it's kind of cliche, but like the intangibles really do matter. Like,
Yeah.
if you fall in love with the game itself and like the hard work that comes with it, college basketball is going to be a great place for you.
Well, I think that's one of the things where it's like I don't want to say you can't teach it, but it's like when you're at the D1 level, anybody can go out there and drop 30.
Hmm.
Most people can, right? Like I can find anybody to score, but like what sort of energy are you bringing like outside of you scoring? In the locker room, in the classroom, like at practice, like what are you going to do to help this team besides like score 30 points a game?
Yeah,
So I think that message can go a long way, right? Like just because you're not, I mean, I've been scrolling through TikTok and they see memes of like, here are what role players did in high school. Some of them are averaging like 7 points a game, and
exactly.
now
Yeah.
they're role players in the NBA. So it's like, yeah, sure, maybe they're freakishly athletic, but they also, like you said, they worked hard. They probably did some of those intangible things that like it's kind of hard to teach.
Yeah. I
Hell yeah,
firmly feel like college basketball is like more mental than it is physical. Like, I
Hmm.
feel like high school's a lot more physical and about, like, individual skills. College basketball is kinda about, like, what teams are, like, locked in and connected and, like, on the same page and getting their scouting done and, like, going to each game, like, feeling connected and playing as a team together and having good energy in the locker room. Like, that's what separates the best programs in college basketball, I feel like.
Yeah. 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 Just having that camaraderie and connection from, one to, I don't know how many you have, 1 to 18. How many do you have on your roster?
We have 15 this year.
Okay. Yeah. 1 to 15, right? Like, what is that connectedness like? Because, yeah, I think the more we get along as a group, like the results are going to show for themselves, right?
Exactly.
Because even the ones not playing, if they feel connected to the team, well, what are they doing in practice? They're probably busting their ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, hell yeah. Well, yeah, thank you for hopping on. Appreciate talking to you as always. If you don't know this by now, but like I'm watching your games, so I'm always there watching. I'm very
Thank
proud of the growth you've had from your junior year to now, you know. Like I said, even though we don't like sit down and do this as much, like I can hear in your voice like the changes and you're actively making them. So
thank
um I'm very happy for you and where you're at right now. And I can't wait to see what the rest of the year brings.
thank you. You've been huge for me. We should get you out to New York City. When we
Dude,
get to playoffs, let's get you out.
I'm there, man. If you guys make playoffs, I'll for sure head out there.
All right. My mom said
Uh,
she can afford one plane ticket out here, and that's going to be it. So we'll get you there too.
Hell yeah. But you got to give me some sort of swag, dude. I can't be walking in there in like a white t-shirt.
I got you. I'll hook you up with all the gear.
Dude, I might get a custom Bella jersey. I don't know. I'm sure there's one out there somewhere.
I'm gonna ask my friend. He made one. I'll ask him
Did
for
you
you.
really?
Yeah,
Dude, I'd rock the hell out of that thing.
I'd love it. That would be great.
All right. Good to talk to you, Bella. If you need anything, you know where to find me.
All right. Thanks for
See you
having
later.
me.
All right, that's a wrap. Episode 2 in the books. I want to thank Bella for hopping on, making time out of her busy student athlete schedule at Ivy League school, just to talk to me, talk to you all about her experiences as a D1 athlete and what she does in terms of, what her mindset and approach is to the game of basketball. Thanks for watching. Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you have any questions. Other than that, have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you.